days. Look at that. This is not a how-to guide. Good evening. I was going to say good morning, but it's actually the evening. Yeah, back for another video. God, so soon as well. Before, I was waiting about 6 months before submitting videos, and now I'm doing it in about 6 hours. So yeah, second video on the van. Yeah, what's this one about? Oh, good question. Oh yeah, sorry by the way if I sound all bunged up. I've just come off a little bit of a cold that I've had. It was one of those, lasted a day, but yeah, couldn't get out of bed. Really struggled. Anyway, enough about my personal life. What's this video about? This video is about the van. It's about the Euro Trips episode 2 of a multiple part series. And this one is about spares, tools, fluids, stuff that, you know, you'd like to think, or you'd like to hope that you might not have to use, or you're never going to use. But yeah, if you're going on a big trip, I think sometimes as a bit of an insurance policy, it's good to pack a few bits. I'm not talking about packing, you know, cylinder heads and gearboxes and clutches, you know, all that stuff. If that goes, I mean, yeah, see you later. I'm not saying that this is a good alternative to getting European breakdown. I would suggest getting European breakdown cover, because absolute worst case, it would be a good idea to, you know, have that insurance of kind of being able to get your van or your car home. Although on that point, with European breakdown cover, there's a couple of things you have to bear in mind. My van is a 2004, so what we're getting on for, that's, let's do the math quickly, 16, 17, 19 years old. Yeah, 19-year-old van. A lot of European breakdown covers don't actually cover vehicles now that are older than 14 years. I think the cutoff was 14 or 15 years. That's one thing to bear in mind. The big firms on the market like RAC, the AA, they both do cover the age of the vehicle, but then there's sort of two types of policy you can get. You can kind of get their basic or their like kind of premium. The basic will relay you, as in recover you back to the country up to the cost of the value of the van. I think otherwise they deem it's not viable, and I don't know, what do they do? Do they don't recover you and just give you what your van's worth and say sort out yourself? Or do they keep the van, fly you home? I have no idea, actually. Not a clue. But the premium ones will cover you sort of regardless of your van or vehicle age. So yeah, you wanna think about that. But it's probably like twice the price. So as in, it's twice the price, the policy price, the price of the policy. What am I? Let's get straight into the video, because I have a tendency to waffle. I'm going to flip you around and we'll have a quick look at some of the stuff that I take. Okay, so yeah, I've pretty much put everything out on this camping table. This is pretty much all of like the tools, some spares and fluids that I like to take. A few bits under there, which is kind of essentials for camping. So this is just your standard kind of power hookup. This is quite handy. So this is like your average or like very basic kind of tester of a plug. This is your kind of standard UK plug to power hookup. From memory, you stick a Euro plug adapter on there. It goes under a weatherproof box, but again, that's all dependent on the site. And then you've got your power hookup, goes in here, and so on and so forth. The other item is this little bad boy here. Yeah, so this basically, in some countries in Europe, they switch their, well, looking at this, they switch their live and neutral, or their live and earth, or they don't have a neutral, or there's a fault. Basically, you can plug this in, obviously through a Euro adapter, and it will light up some LEDs and kind of give you a sequence. It'll basically test the circuit. Keep the instructions on this box lid, because this box which houses all the power hookup. This box lives under the bed at the back, and we pull it out and we've got all the power hookup there. But yeah, we've got all the instructions here, and it tells you about, you know, some countries, how they switch it, blah blah blah. So yeah, that's quite a good thing to have. So just a bit more on this box. Obviously we've got some bits which, well, these will have to go on the van before we set off. Obviously UK sticker. We've obviously got the headlight adapter stickers. Obviously in the last video we changed the air filter. I thought, you know what, I'll keep the old air filter. I'll tell you what, when we were driving through Croatia, it was very dusty. Probably not to the point where you think I've got to change the air filter now, but I don't know, say you went through a massive ford of water, there was a big storm and you sucked up water. I don't know, I'm probably paranoid about every situation. I changed the track rod ends on the van. Well, do you know what, I'll keep them in there along with a spare ball joint. And again, I don't know, say you had a little crash and you hit your tyre and the track rod end sheared, or you've got a spare one, you know. And the ball joints work either side. Track rod ends are sided. Spare fuel cap, glow plugs, thermostat, you know, hot country, that thermostat's going to be opening and closing, working overtime. Again, is it going to go wrong? Probably not, but I don't know. I think things like thermostat, crankshaft sensor and coolant temperature sensor, 3 items that maybe could go wrong. On that electrical note, spare alternator, and this is the old drive belt that came off the van, and again there wasn't anything really wrong with it, and then underneath there we've got a starter motor. Now that is actually brand new. Now I'm going to have European cover, but if there's like a 2-3 day lead time on these parts and they went and I was like, oh, I wish I brought them, I'm just going to take them. You know, all of that will go in the box along with that little lot, tiny little box, sits under the bed, job done. Wipers, these are the old wipers. You know, a wiper breaks, a wiper comes off of the arm, and then if you're in that situation, you have to wrap something soft around the actual wiper arms themselves, or just chuck the old wiper blades on. Obviously the van has power hookup, so got a spare plug and yeah, spare socket, jack. This is a good bit of kit. This is like a basic kind of Halford trolley jack. So much nicer than, I would say nicer than a bottle jack, because you've got a nice long arm and, you know, you can hook that in like that. You can kind of drag it around, wheel it around underneath the van. And obviously I've tested it. So today, you know, I put it under the van. Well, I say today, literally 2 minutes ago. Put it under the van, jacked it up, made sure I could get the wheel off the ground, made sure it held, because if I ever needed to take the wheel off, that jack needs to work. So talking about wheels coming off, obviously breaker bar and a dedicated socket. Yeah, that just absolutely has to stay in the van. On the subject of tyres, obviously got the foot pump here. And actually, one thing I haven't put on the table, this guy. You know, the foot pump will inflate the tyre, and this little can here will repair a tyre. Now, obviously, you know, as long as you're in a situation where you're safe to do so, and you can get this onto the tyre valve without putting, you know, your life at risk, and open the valve, this will deposit effectively like a tyre glue, and that will also fill the tyres slightly with air. It will give you enough to limp the car or van, but again, it's very much puncture dependent, and you can get small and large versions of these bottles. This is just like a standard small. You can top it up with this, and then it would enable you to potentially get out of a sticky situation, get it to a garage or somewhere to swap the tyre. Now this is WD-40. I've got a bigger bottle of AC90. They're pretty much all by the by, you know. People are going to blow up in the comments, I'm sure, like, oh no, you need this one. There's so many lubricants out there. It's just something to clean grease off the paintwork, you know, lubricate the door hinges, do the witches hats, I think they call them, on the sliding door so they don't squeak. This little bottle generally lives in the door card with me. On to more of the tools. We've got this multimeter. Obviously it will do, you know, your basic kind of voltage testing. The van is obviously 12 volts. Alternator pushes out 14 to 14.5 volts. So that gives you sort of basic diagnostics of things. This little Autel Maxi Diag sort of ODB2 reader. It does the European market, so yeah, the Volkswagen vans. It will do pretty much all your, you know, Audi, Porsche, Ford, anything sold in the UK pretty much. And yeah, it will obviously read codes, which, you know, if you get an engine management light come up on the dash, you just don't know what is up with the car. What they generally advise is that you pull over straight away, because you could harm your van or car if you continue to drive. So this is a cool bit of kit. This is a jump starter. It also has a torch on it and stuff, but yeah, it's a great bit of kit. It's small, you know, it literally fits in the palm of your hands, and it will jump up to something like, I want to say 3 litre diesel, not sure if it says it on here, and it's something like a 6.5 litre petrol. In the toolbox I also keep a set of overalls, a few other bits in here. I've got like this little strip light that has battery sort of terminals on, so you can just hook up this light and light up an area, light up the engine bay. It's just quite nice. It's running off your battery. Got a magnetic bowl for screws and bolts and stuff when you're stripping it down. This, quite a controversial subject, I've got a drain plug key set. I mean, if you're at the stage where you're thinking I'm going to have to fill or drain the transmission oil, yeah, maybe that can actually come out, because shouldn't really have to touch it. No, if I take that out, that gearbox will be leaking, and I'll want to top it up, and I won't have that set with me. Latex gloves, nitrile, various hose couplings, Jubilee clips, cable ties for the ultimate bush fix, rubber mallet, standard hammer, a file and a wire brush. Got the Irwin Easy Outs. So these will effectively help you take off any rounded off bolt heads or nuts. So yeah, they'll grip those a treat. This little tray sits in the toolbox, so that sits nicely in there like that. 2 headlight bulbs. You know, you've got your Stanley blades, you've got your wire cutters and things like that. In the top, you have these nice little panels, so you can take some spare indicator bulbs and side light bulbs, bits and bobs, fuses, standard car fuses, slightly bigger amp fuses for the split charge system, some home fuses, so you know, your standard kind of 3, 5, 10 and 13, so for the plugs, just in case they blow. Also, I've got a little socket set, and this is quite a nice one. I think I got this for like Christmas once. I bought from Halfords. It was on one of their specials. It was dirt cheap. Yeah, so that's the socket set. Got some Torx bits. Naturally, we've got a lot of Torx heads on the van. A bit of fuel hose. Bungee strap comes in handy. This is like a little electrical box, mainly 12 volts. So you got thick gauge, relatively thinner gauge cable. You know, chocolate blocks, battery terminal blocks, little 12 volt sockets. You can make up a little something to charge things on. Small bulbs. Tarpaulin. Tarpaulin's always handy. Lay it on the ground if you're in dusty Croatia or it's dirty or oily or whatever. The jumper cables I mentioned earlier, we've got the jump starter, but yeah, the jump cables are a nice addition, because again, they don't take up much room, and if for whatever reason the jump starter let you down, you've got that as a backup. We've got like a few of the fluids. Big bottle of oil lives in the back cupboard that won't access much. 5 litres of water. Funnel, just, you know, fluids and stuff. It's good to have a funnel. Duct tape, that is not a fluid, but yeah, we've got gloves, we've got a rag for wiping stuff, blue roll. Yeah, we've got self-amalgamating tape, and it basically molds to itself, so you can wrap it around hoses, vac hoses, and it will seal. It's double-sided sticky tape, PTFE tape. Got various sort of silicones, power steering leak repair, stop smoke chemical, stop leak, rad leak, K-seal. Again, like, these are all things that you think, I really don't want to have to use any of those. But if you're in a situation where you just want to kind of get out of there, you want to get home, I don't know, you want to start getting to a garage and I've no idea, your van is pissing something all over, potentially it can help. Easy Start carb cleaner. There's a larger bottle of AC90. It's all by the by. Power steering, top up fluid. You should probably actually consider things like brake fluids, some antifreeze. No, you don't really need antifreeze. I think if you had a coolant leak and you repaired it, you could top it up with water, you get somewhere, you flush and you fill it with antifreeze. And then a 2 litre bottle of oil. It's just that smaller. So that's it. There's the table of spares, tools, fluids, and yeah, I think I'm going to do a little walk around of the van, but maybe in the next episode. I self-converted it many years ago now, and it's got just enough creature comforts to just do the job. Hasn't got a toilet though, so if I need to go, I just go down there, and that's done then, isn't it? Next video, we'll take the van somewhere, do a little walk around, maybe give it a clean, show you where kind of that little lot goes when it's packed away, and yeah, that'll be I think that'll be the next video. That'll be episode 3, and that'll probably come up later on in the week, time dependent. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this video. It means a lot to me that you've watched the whole thing. If you do have any questions, I mean, yeah, ask in the comments. If the questions are like, how do I time an ABS pump, I haven't got a clue. But if the questions are, do you take K-Seal or Radweld, the answer is both. So yeah, that'll be me. Thanks guys, and yeah, see you for part 3 very soon. See ya. I've got like oil or something on my face. Is that better?